Welcome, everyone. Live stream is starting. Just waiting a moment to see that we are live. Here we go. All right. Welcome. I'm Cholena Casa. This is the video about women and the moon. I am here with my soul sister and mentor, Jonita D'Souza. And I'm very excited to have this conversation today with you, of all people, especially. So thank you so much for being here. I just want to tell everybody a little bit about this beautiful woman that's sitting in this room with us today. So this is a woman, she is my embodiment mentor. She's taught me a lot about tantric and Taoist sciences for women. She's the person that led me more deeply into emotional integrity by making space for emotion and the wisdom of emotion, not the suppression of emotion. So, as far as I'm concerned, my whole head is tingling right now. She's a super huge feminine catalyst in this world where we learn to go from suppression to presence. And a lot of the presence that I have brought from within me has a lot to do with my connection with this beautiful woman. So, welcome, Jonita. There's so much more that you do. And I also want to touch base on the beautiful program that's coming up for you later, Feminine Empress Codes, which I have partaken of 3 times. I'm up there with the most frequently your most frequent followers type of people, because there's so much each time I've gone through it has been like more layers and more layers and more layers. So we'll talk about that more at the end, and the layers of deconstructing the stuff that got in the way of my presence and just feeling good showing up however I am. So today we want to talk about women and the moon. So we do know, we have some general reference to the fact that, of course, with menstruation and things like that, that women cycle with the moon, but our connection with the moon goes much deeper and much more deeply connected to our emotions, not just the waters in our bodies, but the water and the emotion are deeply interconnected along with the moon cycles. So, all right. So we're kind of starting the kind of jump off point is pretty much moon cycles and waters and menstruation, really. But the moon cycles affect us as women all throughout our lives, not just in the years that we are going through our cycle in that way.
Yeah. Kalina, first of all, I just can't stop smiling looking at you. I don't know. Thank you for this opportunity for creating this space and showing up. And I love that you are shining the light on the moon, on the waters, and everything that you are bringing to this world. Women are benefiting, and I have seen your journey, and it's been an absolute pleasure to know you as a client and now as a soul sister, co-creator.
Mm.
I wish that this is the new paradigm of the feminine that we get to bring forth together with other women leaders. So it's an honor to be here, sister.
Thank you so much. I feel that so deeply. It's very much about holding the presence and the space for women to move through all the aspects of ourselves and more deeply into rather than away from all the parts of ourselves that were once suppressed. And there are few women's spaces that even allow us to go that deeply into all the emotions that we don't want to be truthful about, the things that we don't want to have to feel or see, and things like that. But those spaces being the places that alchemize, that bring those dark things that used to run us and create hidden agendas and little you know sarcasms in our own self. I guess that is what's coming out to say. Take that as you will, and really turn it into our gifts and our light and our depth of presence and being able to just hold space with each other as we cycle through all the things deep and light and deep and light, and seeing, knowing that it's part of the cycle not um, an indication of who this person is that we may experience emotion.
Mm.
So I guess we're getting to the moon and emotion.
Yeah, you say it so well, and I want to bring into the context of the cycle and the moon as you speak through. I remember that once, I think it was a decade ago or something, or even more than that, going when I was studying Ayurveda. I was in a place where I wanted to heal my body of psoriasis and an autoimmune disease. And so I went into holistic ways of healing, and I was, cleansing my body and all those Ayurvedic principles. I'm from India, so this all knowledge came very handy for me to read in the original language, the context that probably you will not find in the English translation and stuff. So I was really enjoying all of that. And then there was one point, one quote that really became very apparent to me, and it was unfamiliar, and it said something like a disease can enter a woman's body only in two paradigms. Either she is disconnected from her shakti, her life force energy, or she has no relationship with the moon. And I'm telling you, that quote was like a mystery to me at that time of my healing. And I'm talking 2008 and 9.
Wow.
I had no idea, firstly, Shakti, my life force energy, what is that? And what kind of relationship am I supposed to have with the moon? Of course, it looks good, and I have known about it in songs and all those romantic novels and poems, but what else? And so my inquiry began then, and well, it's never stopped.
Ooh, wow. That's such deep ancient knowledge right there. And before um, modern lighting, modern times, modern schedules, modern stress, it was natural for women to have community around the womb, and cycle with the moon and menstruate with the moon together. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
so that I'm getting to that wisdom was more innately with us previously than it is now. And now it requires a little bit of reclamation.
Yeah, yeah. We have currently we live in kind of a lifestyle that is so disconnected with the nature. So often the cycles do not directly, like we feel like we are not directly impacted. However, our emotions are, and because of our disembodiment with the whole nature, the part of being in the nature as the nature. I think women's bodies are suffering. I think women's emotions are suffering. And I think we are at war with ourselves because we have lost that connection. And there are a lot of contexts in Ayurveda, and of course, there are not many scientific data to back it up. But then, ancient wisdom is ancient wisdom. Like you follow it, right? Sometimes you choose to follow that instead of the superstitions that we so diligently follow in the modern world, right? So I remember at the time asking my teacher. She wasn't my teacher actually. She was a more like a medical support for me at that time. And she said that, yeah, well, in the olden days, women used to diligently look at the moon in order to bring their hormones into alignment. I was like, wow, that seems to be a pretty easy and fun way to just stare at the moon. Was because as little girls, I know of nobody who was not mesmerized by the moon, by just staring at the moon. And so there were so many legends and scriptures around it. It just fascinated me to find out more and more. And the more I found out, it's like a never ending wisdom that you get to know yourself with the cycles of the moon, and then your work with the moon centers is another level of it. So it's a journey that is always going to be rewarding us as women, no matter what stage of our life we are, whether we are bleeding or not, whether we have started bleeding or not, or we have stopped.
So much. And I just also, it's beautiful to give us that. perspective from ancient Indian wisdom and also in all indigenous wisdom of the world, the moon absolutely matters. And in the lunacy group, we also share the clan mother story and the
Mm.
wisdom of each moon cycle, the 13 moon cycles of the year. And each moon cycle has its own wisdom. And even though it repeats every year, it is such a deep and potent inner teaching to drop into. And I know we're currently in the moon cycle of becomes her vision as we finish this year and complete the next thing. So just sharing like the we prove the ancient wisdom within our own bodies. Because when we decide to try that, then we the cycle of the moon with the different phases of the moon gives us access to the death and rebirth cycle every month. And physically, tangibly when we're bleeding, but just as powerful energetically when we're not bleeding. And by following that, seeding of new intentions and letting things grow and honing that intention and letting the stuff that is in the way of it start to release and fall back down and come into the death and rebirth cycle towards the new moon again, we naturally step away from fearing those cycles, the bigger cycles of life and death in our bodies, and the smaller cycles of life and death that we go through, ego deaths and, emotional deaths that we go through. And not every emotional death is a bad thing. I call emotional death really more like emotional rebirth because it's the programs and the painful things that are dying and rebirthing into a new way of being. So it's every time we allow those emotional rebirths, there's a part of us that was, dying before that now gets to live in the light.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the beautiful things, revelations that has been for me with the moon and cultivating a relationship with the moon is to really understand the dynamics of my own emotions. We, there's a very famous saying again, something like, even the moon is not shining at all times. And or something like, even the moon doesn't shine at all times. And
Mm,
this is so beautiful and metaphorically applicable to us as women who have been sold the idea of like push, push, go, and do the work, and patriarchal conditioning of no pain, no gain, and we have to always be doing to receive, we have to always be out there visible to get the results we want. And
And this is more of a solar, linear, masculine way of being that works for masculine men and their hormones, but actually doesn't work for the female hormonal cycle at all, which is more like 28 days rather than, you know, um, the month or the way that men go. But especially in the past 100 years, women
yeah.
are operating more and more on this solar cycle and forgetting that hormonally and like on a cellular level, we
Mhm.
operate on a lunar cycle.
Yes,
And by giving ourselves the space to ebb and flow, we have much more magic in the moment.
exactly. And somehow we women have a deep conditioning that if we slow down, if we do not do, if we take time out, then our world is going to fall apart, or things are not going to work out for us because we are probably lazy, or we are probably losing, right? Like whatever the narratives we have inside of ours, we are not valuable, we are not worthy, and what all. And it is so interesting, as I said, even the moon does not shine at times. So we are
Mm.
allowed not to be outward at all times. But then what do we do when we are inwards? In my work, what I've noticed is that a lot of women have this, they they don't want to be inward because the inward is a chaos, the chaos that they can't even hold themselves with. We're constantly trying to do another practice, trying to do get another mentor, trying to do something, whatever, to really regulate whatever is happening in our lives all the time, without really allowing ourselves to be in that inward space and really see where is my emotional gravity on a regular basis. Like, what is this normalcy in my emotions when I am shut? And
Mm.
so that work has been so potent in regards to my relationship with the womb and the moon.
Mm. The thing that's coming through with that is how it's been longer than our generations, and our parental generations have also, and probably the ones before that. It's been so long that we've been kind of coached and coaxed into this solar way of being. I'll just call it that so we can take off the other terminology. And it creates a fear of the slowing down. I noticed this in my lineage a lot, that if I slow down, something's going to catch up with me. And that thing that will catch up with me will do me in. Whereas the constant go, go, go is what opens us up to emotional imbalance and physical dis-ease. So it's actually the opposite of that. And sitting with the fear of not doing something right now, not helping somebody else, not making forward, quote unquote, forward progress at this moment, because these moments that we pause, excuse me, receive and sit can be even more valuable than the moments that we're pushing forward to do something.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. For us women, one of the major search has been the search for safety, right? Like feeling safe. We don't feel safe in our emotions, in our bodies, in the world around, in our relationships, in our decisions. And so just coming back to this place of not doing and not initiating the push can really bring up a lot of fears and a lot of worth related emotions, I would say.
Mm.
And then when we are able to really let that flow through and witness it with a profound level of compassion, I must say, which takes really a lot of practice.
It helps
So
to have sisterhood and other women that are, co-doing the same thing. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and then we get to taste that
Mm.
safety that we will never achieve or accomplish by doing anything, by being anything. That there is nothing we can do in this world that will give us 100% safety.
Mm. Oh, but also we're losing safety by constantly having to validate, prove our safety, prove it to ourselves. But when we stop and sit and we realize that the safety is in the pause, the safety is in the cycle, the safety comes from here. And I noticed this a lot in like relationship coaching that's out there. It's the masculine, and it's not that it's the masculine's job to create safety in the relationship. And it's not that it's not, it's everybody's job to create safety. But if a woman is perpetually unsafe, it doesn't matter how much safety comes externally, she will always feel unsafe.
Yeah.
So it's totally an inside job, and it's an inside job to create spaces in
Mm-hmm.
our lives where there is emotional, physical, personal safety going on
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. I relate to that so much. That's a really important point that you touched in, because I have noticed that pattern in me, that because I was so not safe in my body, I couldn't experience the safety that was provided by my man. And not just that, I would sabotage even the things that were working well in my life. And these are like just unconscious behaviors. Like you would do things to just make things fall apart because this is just okay. and now I let me just be this victim and push through, and like let me just struggle a little bit because this feels so me. I have always struggled to make things happen and find trust. So I just, I went in that loop again and again and again and again. And why I'm saying this is because, I've been in this work for more than a decade right now, and it it doesn't really leave you. These patterns, like, really, they really stay with you for a really long time. And I have now have the compassion to not judge myself through this. So if there are women who are watching here who have done a lot of work on themselves, Cholena, and I want to break the illusion that do not think that I have done the work, so now I'm set. Now show me what's next, right? I feel like we keep going in the same cycle, but at different levels of growth and expansion. And every cycle leads us to the next stage, and then there's the same cycle and the next stage, and that's what I have seen you beautifully come out through the cycles and the cycles, and now I'm sure, shit may hit the fan, and then we will know how to deal with it, and then the next cycle, right? So I want to offer a lot of
Yeah.
compassion to women who are feeling distorted in their emotions and thoughts, especially during this time of the year and these times of the world.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Permission to be a cyclical human being. The ebbs and flows is really, really huge. And it's like even after doing the work on that for a decade, it can leave the building very quickly. We can just revert to this whole, oh, I need permission from somebody else to take a day of rest instead of I'm responsible for building in days of rest for myself when I need them.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
responsible for knowing
yeah. The
um,
word
when I
permission.
need rest.
The word permission
Yeah.
is so.
So big. Yeah, this is cool. Um, and let's see. So I'm just kind of like culminate all these things. So the phases give us opportunity to be more aware of our emotional processes, which we go through on a schedule with the moon. We can dive in more deeply to our emotions and we can learn how to hold space for the wisdom of our emotions if we don't suppress them and we use this kind of technology of the moon, which is innate to us. It's already in our cells, and we create kind of the safe space to continue to play and cycle with the things that come through life. Having sacred community where people can witness me in my deep down moments and not see me as that forever and understand, you know, that this is yet a part of the cycle that they get to witness and hold. This is sacred space that we make. So um, we're going to continue making sacred space around the moon and her cycles and ritual and dropping in and fasting in this group and in the sacred waters group. For you,
Hey, you're muted.
Okay.
Did I lose you? Or
Yeah,
did you lose
my
me?
apologies. Like Zoom just crashed and restarted. Okay, the power of our words. So I just want to share Jonata's program that's coming up. It's an amazing program and it has totally changed my life in the way that I see and be with myself. It's given me the power to, even when I'm not feeling like I've got it all together, I'm, personally, emotionally all shined up, I can just be here. And her program's really given me the power to do that through working with the lover, the mother, and the warrior essences. The lover essence being very special to me is, very huge theme in my life right now because my mother and my warrior essence were so exhausted. I believe this is a 3 or 4 month journey that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have done 3 times in my life. And each time I get to visit myself on a deeper level, being held and also receiving so much wisdom, personal practices, practices that really open us up on a feminine level, not another breath work to do specifically, but something that really connects with my feminine in ways that are not readily available other places in the world. And um, she's not one of those, quick come here, get your certification, and be a tantric teacher in a weekend kind of person. She is the let's be really real, let's be really present kind of person. And we have those teachers all over the place and that now have their, weekend tantric certification. If you really, really deeply want to connect with yourself and your emotions and move through and into emotional cycles where you can harness the magic of your own emotions, please connect with this woman. Check out her Facebook group, Exploring Femininity, and you'll see so much in there. It's a beautiful Facebook group to be in, regardless of whether you're interested in being in her programs yet, now, or forever. She hosts amazing women's circles. I've learned so much from her on just being present in circle, being present here. So that's a great place to start. And if you join her Exploring Femininity Facebook group, you'll get information about the circles she's hosting, and they're all super accessible and they're all a beautiful opportunity to drop back into our feminine because there are so many layers that which we're not even aware that we're operating in our masculine and getting more tired and emotionally strung out and chaotic because of that. So this is the space that holds our chaos so we can culminate the beauty that's trying to come through it. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Jonita, for your beautiful words and your wisdom as always.
Pleasure. Such a
Mm, And thank you all for being here. Whether you were able to see some of us live or you're catching the replay, let us know what your feelings are on your connection with the moon and emotion. We'll see you soon. Thank you again. Take care.